Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we'll be going over another one of my random casual 6 card deck builds. And this one that we're going through mainly came out of theories, out of the mechanic back from Zendikar Rising, the party mechanic, which base just requires you to end up having, for a full party, you have to have a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and a wizard. And with that being said, I'll just kind of get right into this and show you what we're working with. To start off, we have 4 copies of Tajuru Paragon. It's a 3/2. Tajuru Paragon is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. It has kicker of 3. When Tajuru Paragon enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a card that shares a creature type with it from among them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Next up, we have 3 copies of Malakar Blood Priest. It's a 2/1. When Malakar Blood Priest enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures in your party. After that, we have 3 copies of a Mirror Captain. So 1/1, Flying Vigilance. When Mirror Captain enters the battlefield, put +1/+1 counter on it for each creature in your party. So 3 copies of that. We got ourselves 2 copies of Nimble Trap Finder. 2/1, Nimble Trap Finder can't be blocked if you have another cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard into the battlefield under your control this turn. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control gain whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card until end of turn. After that, we have 2 copies of Squad Commander. He's a 3/3. When Squad Commander enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white Core Warrior creature token for each creature in your party. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. After that, we have ourselves 2 copies of Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats. It's a 4/4. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Flying, Death Touch, and Haste. Other creatures you control have Death Touch. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a Planeswalker, destroy that Planeswalker. After that, we have 2 copies of Thundering Spark Mage. It's a 2/2. When Thundering Spark Mage enters the battlefield, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of creatures in your party. After that, we have 2 copies of Archpriest of Iona. Archpriest of Iona's power is equal to the number of creatures in your party. So, starts off star 2 and whatnot. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain fly until end of turn. After that, we have 2 copies of Ardent Electromancer. It's a 3/2. When Ardent Electromancer enters the battlefield, add 1 red mana for each creature in your party. And then got a couple of singletons here. We have Tazri, Beacon of Unity. 4/6. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. And you can either pay... I believe that either be 8 colorless or blue, black, red, green. Look at the top. Well, just because like displays, either 2 or each of the colors. Yeah. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Reveal up to 2 cleric, rogue, warrior, wizard, and/or ally cards from among them and put them on into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. After that, we have Barakos Party Leader. He's a 2/4 Baros Party Leader. He's also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. And Baros attacks. Defending player loses X life when you create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of creatures in your party. The background thing doesn't really matter on the bottom of that. Okay. Then for our last creature here, we have Nyla D. Arnis. She's a 3/3. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard spells from the top of your library. In the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, put +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain death touch until end turn. Moving on to our spells here, we have 4 copies of Skyclave Relic. His kicker 3, indestructible. When Skyclave Relic enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 2 tapped tokens that are copies of Skyclave Relic. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. And after that, we have 3 copies of Coveted Prize. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Search your library for a card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. If you have a full party, you may cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. After that, we have 2 copies of Thwart the Grave. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Return target creature card and up to 1 target cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Next up, we have 2 copies of multi-class Baldric. Creature has lifelink if you control a cleric, death touch if you control a rogue, haste if you control a warrior, and flying if you control a wizard. As long as you have a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature. Equip cost 2. Colorless. I'm just going to scoot this over a second. Next up, 2 copies of Strength of Solidarity. Choose target creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature in your party. A couple of singletons here. We have Ravager's Mace. When Ravager's Mace enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equip creature gets +1/+0 for each creature in your party and has menace. Equip cost of 2, a red and a black. And lastly, we have Journey to Oblivion. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. When Journey of Oblivion enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Journey of Oblivion leaves the battlefield. For our lands, we have Dinket's here. We have 3 mountains, 5 swamps, 2 plains, 2 forests, 2 islands, 4 copies of Base Camp, which Base Camp enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, or to activate the ability of a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard. Then finishing off with Branchloft Pathway. And the other side being Borderloft Pathway. Each of them only tapping for, the respective color. And then Pillar Verge Pathway for tapping for white. And Needle Verge Pathway for tapping for red. And with that brings another one of these decks to a close. Hope y'all enjoyed checking out another one of my random 6-card deck builds. Hope y'all enjoyed, and see you in the next video. Peace.